So my name's Catriona McDonald, or most commonly known as Cat. Most people can't understand that the O in my name is silent, and it's a bit of a bugbear, so I'll go by Cat. Also because I'm a cat fanatic, So a little bit about myself. I work at the City of Glasgow College. I've been working there for 8 glorious years. Anyway, so in that time, I've moved from being a wee junior, kind of coming in, eagle, like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. What am I going to look after? And you're like, oh, I work in the Apple Store. All right, okay, you're looking after the Macs now. What? And all of a sudden, I was now looking after 500 Macs, using tools like ARD and not even macOS server at first. It's just ARD and command line, which is great fun. I kind of miss that tool sometimes. So what's this talk about when everything goes wrong? This is more kind of like a story time, and hopefully you can learn from the mistakes that we made as an organization. Unfortunately, great enough, and I'm going to plug Darren's testing session earlier, because we don't test. We should test, but we don't, because it's only me and one other person, and I'm the subject matter expert for printers as well. So if anything goes wrong with printers and Macs, kind of stressful for me. So one day, waking up to a bunch of messages. Students can get logged in, that's great, but they don't see the applications on the Macs. And so are staff. So when you find out that something has gone wrong, you want to make sure that you communicate to your clients. You need to put your hands up and say, I made a mistake. We are going to try and fix this mistake as long as possible. Please be patient with us. But you need to put your hands up, because if you hide that, you're going to lose trust within your client base. Then you need to find out what the source of the issue is and the scope of the issue, and make sure that damage control is applied, and work with your colleagues as a team. Like, no man should be an island when it comes to kind of disaster recovery. You should get, that point, you should be trying to get as many people to help you to try and take out the fires as much as possible. So what was our culprit? Beware RM-R if you are scripting. I think you hear this from many things, and like me, I was just like, it should be fine. It would have been fine if this policy only ran once. Unfortunately, I set it to ongoing, so it was going every time it was checking in. So that was the second. So as soon as we thought we fixed the problem, it would delete all the apps again, because the field was null. So what should I have done? So if the -n, that means it's null, then send to log if you've got a kind of a log function, or echo application is not safe to run, else it is safe to run, and it will run it. And then also someone to double check to make sure your policy is not going to cause damage. This is where cabs are actually good. I know it's kind of a lot of paperwork, and there's a lot of kind of politics that sometimes play in cabs, but they're actually useful when you are trying to look at what went wrong. They're also quite good to find out. So, this change was implemented yesterday, we did that. It's that's causing the problem, rather than trying to find a needle in a haystack. So when it comes to communicating with your audience, you want to be clear and concise in your messaging. Do not point fingers. Do not say, it was Bob. Bob did everything wrong. We're going to fire Bob. Don't point fingers. Make it more of a learning experience. It's like, this is what happened. We figured out this is the problem. This is what we took from it. And also, and that's how we're going to move forward. Also, make it realistic. Don't say this is going to get sorted in half an hour when it actually is probably going to take most of the day. That's not going to appease. It might seem like it'll appease your audience at first. It's not. They're just going to become more angry and more irate, because at the end of the day, these computer devices, and most pointed, are their lifelines. For us, it was like lecturers trying to kind of give students good education. So it's kind of their lifeline. And also be humble and apologetic. It's always hard to sometimes hard to say the S word, sorry, we messed up, trying to be PG, almost like So getting back on your feet, once you've figured out the scope of the damage, follow any business continuity plans if you have any. We do have one. Does anyone know what the business continuity plan was? Not time. We're kind of one of those people, like organizations that kind of fight fires as they come, which is chaotic, fun, but you don't know what you're going to come into. Start mapping up how to get back to square one as possible. Hold like an initial meeting. It's like, right, this is the damage, this is the scope, this is potential, and how do we find, what's the solution? Fire out ideas, find out how long it is, and once you know kind of roughly how long it's going to take, communicate to those affected. And also any tools that might be, so it might be data recovery tools. Like staff members, they might have time machine backups. Time machines also, like you can take snapshots through time machine itself or through skips themselves. So we did it through a smart group to try and get back. So here's an example of one of ours. This is for DaVinci Resolve. So I titled it, doesn't have DaVinci Resolve, but should. What I would check is it part of a group that usually has this application? If it does, if the application title does not have DaVinci app, the smart group should then put it into a policy where it does install DaVinci Resolve. So it's also useful if a user accidentally manages to somehow delete an app or something else manages to happen. So disaster to relieved. Keep communicating, so once it's over, still keep communicating with your clients, just checking in. Has the problem been solved? Or does it just appear like it's been solved on our end and you've still got problems? Because they're the ones that actually can see from their ends. We just see numbers. They're actually experiencing it. Keep an eye on the MDM platform to see any progress and schedule a debrief for those involved. So going in as a team saying, all right, okay, again, it's kind of like the initial one. How can we solve it? It's like, okay, this is how we solved it. How are we going to document this so that we don't have to experience this a second time? What can we learn? What we can bring forward? So also, if you are the person that made a mistake, be kind to yourself and be kind to others. If immediately you think, oh, I'm a failure, what have I done? I can't believe I did this. I myself have experienced imposter syndrome many times when this was going on. It was way off the charts because I'm like, I can't believe I've done something like this. This is a rookie mistake. I shouldn't have done that. But you should be kind to yourself because at the end of the day, you're human, you're tired. There's a lot of factors at play. If you're burnt out, stressed, it's more important to be kind of kind to yourself. Just remember, if you're learning from it, and it means that, if you are panicking about it, it shows that you care. It means that you care about the end user at the end of the day, and that's a good thing. But also, don't be too harsh on yourself. And when it comes to managers themselves, this is to kind of the opposite side. Be kind to those who are affected. Say, right, okay, what can we learn from this? How can we help you? Do you mind if we do X, Y, and Z? Don't kind of put it as this is all your fault. How could you do this? You should have done this, X, Y, and Z. That doesn't help people. More, it's what can we do? Take it as a learning moment, and hindsight is always clearer than foresight. As soon as I realize what the problem, I should have done this. Why didn't I think of that? That's because at the time your brain's actually, now I realize what could have helped us. But, hindsight is always clearer than foresight. So important things that we took from this was that because I am a subject matter expert and I am the single point of failure, we need to train up our team more. And sometimes these things can highlight something like that. As horrible as it is for the end user experience, sometimes these things need to come to light. We also noticed that there was a need for more development for the team at large. So it's we could have, though we did manage to fix the problem quite swiftly, we could have been swifter. People could have figured that out a lot quicker. And also if I had someone checking that, if they had been at the had good scripting knowledge, that could have been caught out a little bit earlier and not had caused anyone any grief. And also a more stringent but fair CAB. Again, CABs can be kind of political, but they're they are useful, as much as I kind of grumble about them sometimes. But most important, we are human and we do make mistakes. And that's actually it. I think I'm actually faster than Ben earlier. Does anyone have any questions? Please remember to speak into the microphone as this is being recorded.
Catriona, thank you. And thank you for being brave. I'm pretty sure everybody in this room has made a mistake that bad or worse in the last 6 months. So I know I have. So, we think about a lot of these challenges. What kind of communication flows do you tend to embrace for telling people when there's a problem?
So basically kind of go on of like an admittance. It's like, we apologize for the inconvenience that has been caused. We recognize this is a problem. This is what you might experience. We kind of being understanding from the end user's point of view, because you don't want to downplay what they're going through. To you, it might be a simple fix, but to them, it's their lifeline. It's like, for us, it was like lecturers teaching students, and they didn't have the applications and tools that they needed to actually do that. A lot of them were actually really understanding what we went through because we were so upfront about it, that we were actually saying, this is what we're dealing with. We didn't want to overload them with communication, but we just kind of gave them regular updates, like, probably about half days. So this is the morning, we found out what the problem is. This is what we're doing just now. The lunchtime comes around. Okay, this is where we're at. This is the next steps. And trying to kind of keep it clear and concise, but don't overload them with technical jargon. Because they don't like it. It's just more they just want the problem fixed. So they just want to know, what are you doing to fix it? Oh, you've got someone there.
Hi. Thank you for your talk. It was really informative, and we've all definitely made these mistakes. One of my questions was around your change advisory board. So you mentioned that it's to be stringent but fair. When doing change advisory boards, it's quite often difficult to relay the information in a way that other people can properly scrutinise it, just simply because it's not their areas of expertise.
Yeah.
Was there any lessons around that, or any changes that were made off the back of this to sort of potentially fill that gap?
So obviously, because our change advisory board, we have network and infrastructure. We also have end user computing. We do find that so I will be honest, our networking team sometimes puts changes because through their own, because they don't think it's going to affect the end user, so they sometimes put things through then. We do now have a new system called For Me. We're kind of hoping to use that as a kind of an ongoing cab, as in they put this in, this is what's going to happen, so that everyone in the team knows what's going on. So if there's any outages, we can quickly see what's happened. It's less to be kind of political, more that just so we know what's going on. It's that thing, we're working as a team, we don't want to point fingers. But it has been in the past that, we're still working through the political issues, that there has been finger pointing in the past. But we are getting better as an organisation, I would have to say. We're kind of, honestly, if things go wrong, a lot of people are very understanding. But it's kind of trying to point in, this is more, we want to know what's going on so we can communicate as a team and help each other. Change advisory is more kind of, so we can, how can my team help your team? So if you put it towards there, it's like, I'm making this change. It's like, well, if you're making this change, how can we help you? Or how's that going to affect us? Kind of saying, just working together. And so that makes the change kind of not be so scary. Because change is scary, even if it's small little things and you don't know what's going to happen. That's why you want to test it before you push it out. But yeah, there's actually someone was handing out stickers that says, don't test on animals, we test in production. And that's unfortunately exactly what we do.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time.
Cheers. Just anecdotally, I seem to remember my first Macaduck 2017, and we had someone from Facebook, and it was a similar thing where he said they had, I think they were using Git or similar for scripts and profiles and things, but he just sort of, he had a slide. He just said YOLO and just pushed it out to everyone with a Mac at Facebook. So, like as mentioned, it's happened to all of us. Sorry, that was a wee bit of a tangent. My actual question was, you've obviously mentioned the positives in terms of learning lessons within your team and working with other teams. Did anything come out of it that was maybe positive in terms of things you might need in terms of resources or policies at a sort of management level?
So, okay, right, yeah, I see where you're going. It was more done at my level, because I'll be honest, the manager that I work with, I'll sing absolute praises about him. He's wonderful, and he's very kind of understanding and kind of then pointing out to other teams, this is what's going on. I don't think anyone, while this was going on in management or higher, was going like breathing down my neck. They were all very kind of like, everyone makes mistakes, let's see how we can fix this. I think for management it's more to take that if you don't do that, you're going to cause people at my level to stress out. You do it like you want to kind of support them, but not breathe down their necks. Because that, like, at the moment your brain is going, when you're going through something like that, your brain's going 100 miles per hour and you're already kind of putting yourself down quite a lot. But if you've got a supportive team, it starts to slow down and you kind of fix the problem faster. So it's always beneficial for management to kind of say, how can we work with you rather than against you? Because I understand you are getting complaints as much as possible, but that again, if you're open up about your communication, you should be beating the complaints. So you should be ahead of the complaints saying, by the way, we know what's going on. We're really sorry about this. So it's kind of, for management, it's more that they're the ones that should be doing the communication. You should be solving the problem. People at my level should be solving the problem. They should be communicating with everyone else. So it's more on a test on their communication skills, I would say.
Thank you very much for that. And I agree with Tom. We've all done stuff. I've shut down remote servers and had to make very long journeys out to boot them up. That's yeah, that is something that happens. So look, yeah, we all do that. But you mentioned testing as being a key aspect of that. I know Daz did a talk about testing stuff. Test plans are absolutely invaluable. But how do you feel about the sort of alpha groups or the pilot groups and pushing out the change to a small number of people first to make sure it doesn't burn down the entire estate at a time? That's how it should ideally kind of happen. I think for us, there's actually a group I know that if there's any little problem, they'll immediately come to me. So I always use them as my alpha group because if I am testing something that I am worried that might cause problems, because they'll pretty much email me as soon as something's going wrong. So it means that I'm like, maybe not push that out to the rest of the people and let's try and sort them out. But it's like for those, like you want to find people who are willing to do it are also communicative. So yeah, I always use the people that are going out, the ones that I know will email me immediately as soon as anything goes wrong, because they're the ones that you don't want the ones that kind of leave things building up in the background, and then all of a sudden 3 months later you get a complaint about like there's 10 things that have gone wrong in those 3 months and they really should have come to you. Unfortunately, I've got a couple departments that are like that. We are trying to work with them, but it can be awkward when it gets to that magnitude and that when they're that dissatisfied. It's like you'd rather deal with the small itty bitty problems and try and get them. But yeah, I hope that answered your question. All right, I think that's everyone. Thank you very much. I really wanted to do this talk to show that you're not alone if you make a mistake. So I hope that.